Let's talk about investment in the United States. We're seeing more companies and countries investing in America as part of Trump's effort to bring manufacturing back. Today, South Korea-based Hyundai and Donald Trump announced a $20 billion investment in the US, onshoring, which includes a $5 billion steel plant in Louisiana. So since Trump took office on January 20, investments have totaled almost $3 trillion US, which is a huge figure. I suppose is this latest one considered a win?
Yes, absolutely. It's a huge amount of money in just such a very short amount of time. What I would say is all of his policies are geared to, when he talks about America first, there's nothing wicked about wanting to reshore American companies. Actually, President Obama, when he raised the corporate tax rate to 21%, countries like, for example, Ireland, they lowered their corporate tax rate to 12%. What happened? Well, obviously, who says they want to pay 21% versus 12%? So 997 US companies, Gabriella, are now headquartered in Ireland. So they have all the money, they have all the jobs. Yes, what Donald Trump has done is he has enacted policies that have encouraged US companies to come back and reshore, and also, yes, for foreign investment. It's total $3 trillion so far. Watch for it to go higher.
And it's $3 trillion in such a short amount of time. It's going to be so interesting to watch what happens by the end of the year. Over in the UK, though, it is a totally different situation. The UK Labor government is accused of being anti-business, surprise, surprise. But GB News reports that more than 200,000 businesses have folded since Labor took power. That is a bleak picture for jobs and investment under the current government. What's your assessment?
Oh, absolutely, Gabriella. To my point just now about corporate tax rates. Well, corporate tax rates are one thing. What about individual tax rates as well? It's reported that every 45 minutes, a millionaire leaves the UK. Why wouldn't they? If you're going to have, if you're more of your money that you've made taken away from you. So I think that's absolutely a ghastly statistic. And yes, one of the things in the UK, by the way, the Labour government, I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't even think one member of the Labour government has ever run a business. And I'm always saying in the US, Gabriella, that we should have a constitutional amendment that in order to have hold public office, you should have had to have made payroll and run a business so you understand where money comes from.
Wouldn't that be good?
Wouldn't that be lovely if politicians actually knew how to run a business? And I think that's back to tying all these stories together, back to the $3 trillion of reshoring. That is because there are business people running the government now. If you don't have and you don't make money, you have nothing to tax when you drive away businesses and taxes. So the Chancellor of the Exchequer over there, Rachel Reeves, that's what she's doing. She's absolutely driving away millionaires, driving away businesses. And you're absolutely right about the 203,000 businesses that have folded, and many more are actually leaving. Talks of many of them coming to the US.
Yes, they are. Finally, Hilary, I need to get your thoughts on Canada. Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has called for a snap election scheduled for next month. So the move to dissolve Parliament comes during increased tensions with the US after Trump issued tariffs. This is what he had to say.
We are facing the most significant crisis of our lifetimes because of President Trump's unjustified trade actions and his threats to our sovereignty. Our response must be to build a strong economy and a more secure Canada. President Trump claims that Canada isn't a real country. He wants to break us so America can own us. We will not let that happen.
It's interesting, Mark Carney still hasn't had a phone call with Donald Trump, and that might not happen until after the election. What do you make of all this? It's interesting because Trump hasn't even mentioned Carney's name yet. Where's the relationship heading between Canada and the US?
Well, a few things here. Number one, it will be very interesting to see when the Canadian public are all very aware of the fact when he was at Brookfield Asset Management, he actually sent millions of Canadian dollars and thousands of Canadian jobs down to Manhattan, to New York, out of Canada to the US. I wonder why he did that. Gosh, that wasn't very Canadian. Really, was it? He also sent thousands of jobs down into the coal mining area with some other deals that he was involved in. So he was making money for other people and certainly not for Canadians. hopefully a lot of that will become public. Another thing is that the election, of course, is on April 28th. He's actually called for the election, very interestingly, Gabriella, in the shortest amount of time that is allowed by law there. Why? I think it's 36 days. He called it within 37 days. Why? Because their polling right now has actually improved the Liberals. It was so bad that, of course, resigned. But why is it better? Because a lot of Canadians are hearing all that Trump is saying, and they're not getting quite the full story. Don't forget, all Trump is asking for is fair, reciprocal tariffs. They've been tariffing the US for that amount. So they're not seeing both sides of the story. And also, no, President Trump didn't say that Canada isn't a real country. What he did say, which is true, is they don't even pay for their own security. The US is paying for their security. What President Trump has said is that if they were part of the US, they would be more secure with a better economy and they'd all lead better lives. And those are actually all pretty true.
Hilary Fordwich, it is brilliant to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Brilliant to be with you too. Thank you, Gabriella.